We are in the midst of Gamergate 2, and anybody who is not on the side of the industry or the activists has been targeted for attack. And of course, doxing will never be okay, even against your worst enemy. And now Grums has to call for the Second Wind co-founder Nick Calandra to be banned from X, YouTube, Discord, and Patreon for doxing him. I have a few different things that I want to show off, but before we get into the topic, if you enjoy the content I create, check out the links in the description, follow me on social media, and consider supporting through Patreon or through YouTube memberships. Now, obviously, there are plenty of people on the internet that I don't like, but I would never in a million years call for them to be doxxed. That is one of the worst things that you can do to somebody on the internet, especially someone who simply has differing opinions than yours. But sometimes people say rules for thee but not for me, and then pull the craziest stunts. And now Kern is saying that he has been doxxed by the Second Wind co-founder. This is a That Park Place article. It says Kern, aka Grums, called for the Second Wind co-founder and editor-in-chief Nick Calandra to be banned from X, YouTube, Discord, and Patreon for doxing him. Now, if you don't know Nick Calandra or Second Wind, basically it's a new home for the former video team of The Escapists. They are a fan-funded and independent entertainment outlet featuring, video essays, documentaries, live streams, podcasts, tons of things. They have a couple 100,000 subscribers on YouTube and a lot of followers on Twitter, but that does not excuse this behavior. It says in a post to X, Grums wrote, "I just got doxxed. My family has been doxxed. The Second Wind and former editor-in-chief of Escapists, Nick, has weaponized his Discord server and is encouraging his thousands of Patreon supporters to dox me, and they did." He continued, "And unlike certain other journalists who don't post receipts, I will. My addresses were posted, among other details about people they assume are me. Instead of banning the user who did so and who later edited his post to Nick's secret to obscure my address, but only after it was seen by thousands, instead Nick encouraged them to do more, and to further TOS violations, asked that the information be sent to him in secret to avoid Discord action. These users are unpunished by the mods. Instead, they are praised." And he also wrote, "Nick has been stalking me and tweeting about me for almost 2 months non-stop and is so hot to get me that he was fooled by one of my supporters into publishing a story on X from a user whose name was a sting, an anagram for journalist, and he fell for it." Now, of course, I will never be okay with doxing, even if it is someone who I personally dislike. That is not something that is okay to do. It is kind of in the unwritten rules of being a content creator that you don't dox people, because it can have very serious repercussions. It can have very serious consequences too. And unfortunately, there are people who are always looking to push the limits and stir up as much drama. And yes, sometimes when that happens, unfortunately, people take things a step too far. Now, if you are someone like Nick and you have a platform of hundreds of thousands of people, you should also be trying to tell your moderators, hey, listen, if this ever happens, you need to remove these posts as quickly as possible. But posts like this were left up in the Discord server for hours, and that is a major problem. And now, of course, Nick is saying, I never did that, this never happened, and he is actually threatening legal action against Kern for tweeting about this and bringing it up. He had also made a tweet, Grums. "Nick has confirmed that he is seeking legal action against me. This is nuts. After months of galvanizing his fan base to attack me and harassing me every single day on Twitter, and by posting unverified and probably false information about me, I still offered an olive branch. I gave him the chance to stop harassing me, and I offered to shake his hand and call it a day, and he not just refused, he has doubled down, continuing his baseless attacks, and now wants to play the victim card and use his $54,000 a month grift to hire lawyers and target me with legal action." Now, of course, if you have a platform that you're getting $54,000 a month on, that's your job. It is what it is. Even if I don't think this content is particularly worth it, he has supporters behind him, but that also means that he feels he can just threaten people with legal action whenever, and they will back down, that they will delete their videos, their posts, whatever it may be, because, oh, I've got, hundreds of thousands of people who are willing to give me hundreds of thousands of dollars every single year, so I make more money than you, and you should be afraid of me, which definitely is a scare tactic that will work, unfortunately, on a lot of people. Of course, Mark Kern has done nothing wrong by posting evidence that he has been attacked, that he has been belittled, and that he has been targeted by this community, but Nick doesn't really seem to care. Now, clearly, Nick is trying to avoid any type of legal action against him, and if not legal action, save himself from being banned off of platforms Mark is pleading to. He is calling for Nick to be banned on all of his major platforms, and he's probably panicking, so he's coming up with whatever defense he can to not be banned. He's saying, oh, it wasn't me, his address wasn't shared anywhere, he proclaims I want him killed, this is 100% false. And of course, when someone is claiming, and most likely has the receipts to prove you violated these platforms' terms of service to the point where they can ban you off of them, the only thing he has to do in desperation is say, oh, I didn't do it and my followers didn't do it, which is exactly what he is doing. Now, of course, there are people in the comments that are Nick's followers saying, oh, well, you didn't prove this happened, but of course, Mark isn't going to post his personal information. Of course, he is not going to post his docs. And Nick is trying to say that the information that he got was from a public filing from 6 Sense, but at the same time, that doesn't take into account, Mark's family being doxxed and other relatives he has being doxxed. That's plain and simply the way that the situation has gone, is into absurdity. It is not okay, again, to dox people just because you dislike them, and then to follow up and threaten with legal action. Are you scared? That's what it reads to me as, at least, that he is scared that he is going to be kicked off of these platforms. Now, of course, over the past couple of months since Gamergate 2 started, Mark Kern has been attacked quite a lot, and unfortunately, a lot of us content creators have been, but there was the situation with the hitmen. There were people saying that they would put a 20k bounty on his head to make this dipshit disappear, and then a Twitch streamer, Denims, had upped the bounty to 30k, and a lot of people thought that maybe she was just joking because she was laughing and acting like it wasn't a big problem, and of course she never faced any repercussions from Twitch over it, but there were plenty of people who took this seriously and said, I cannot wait for this guy to be taken out, which of course is just so terrible. So there are plenty of people who have been targeting content creators, again, like Mark Kern, for simply voicing how unhappy they are with the video game industry that he's been part of for a very long time at this point, and then people like me who simply want the industry to continue to get better. It will be interesting to see if Nick says anything else, or if anyone else on the Second Wind team ends up talking about this, but Mark Kern is calling for the Second Wind co-founder Nick to be banned from all of these major platforms for apparently doxing him. But that's all that I really had to discuss in this video. Let everyone know your thoughts in the comments down below. If you enjoyed this, give it a like, and if you didn't, give it a dislike. I appreciate your support either way, but I will talk to you all again in the next video really soon.